Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Destiny video. And in today's video, I want to speak to you guys about the very first mission in the Taken King. I'm currently over in Germany for Gamescom, and I had a chance to go hands-on with the first mission today, so I want to tell you guys a bit about it and give you my impressions. If you guys do enjoy this video, then it'd be super awesome if you could hit that like button and leave a comment down below. And yes, just before I get started, I know there is a crap ton of Destiny information right now surrounding the Taken King, but being over at Gamescom has put me a little bit behind, but I'm catching up on it right now, and I plan to bring you guys videos starting from tomorrow, trying to break down all the information you need to know. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel, because if there's anything you missed or anything you're confused about, I will aim to clear it all up and cover anything you've missed. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about the first story mission. So first of all, to obviously accurately set your expectations, story missions are obviously always going to be that much lighter than say something like a strike or a raid. So from the very first story mission in the game, you won't expect anything, ridiculously difficult or anything that's kind of like ridiculously long, because at the end of the day, this very first mission acts as an introduction to the Taken King, kind of an introduction to Arekkz, and just sort of sets the scene for what we're about to begin doing. So with that being said, the mission itself wasn't necessarily too long, but at the same time it wasn't necessarily any shorter than any other story mission we've played in the past. Now, one of the things that stood out in particular for me was actually the voiceover and the storytelling throughout the entirety of the mission. As you guys know, if you've played Vanilla Destiny, the story is, for the most part, not really kind of in your face. You'll be forgiven for kind of not necessarily knowing what's going on, or not really kind of understanding the story, because unless you're really paying attention, it is quite easy to miss. That being said, throughout the entirety of the first mission, there is a constant wave of voiceover from a number of different characters. We're obviously used to the fact that typically when you fly into a mission, you have like your intro sequence from whoever's kind of giving you the mission, telling you a bit about it, and you then have the occasional input from, say, Dinklebot, sort of trying to set the scene a little bit. But beyond that, largely you drop in a mission, and you get a bit of voiceover at the end to let you know you completed it. However, during the first mission, the Taken King, throughout almost the entirety of the mission, there was constant conversation between Commander Zavala and Arekkz Morn. This was also really cool because not only were the kind of NPCs speaking to you, they were also speaking to each other. So there's this constant sort of dialogue going on, you have the sort of like, kind of chemistry between the characters, which kind of goes lengths to illustrate how they're trying to sort of push the story forward. Obviously, it is hard to tell from the very first story mission exactly how the story is going to go and exactly how in depth they're going to go with storytelling. But the fact that the very first mission did obviously have a hefty amount of voiceover, and they obviously went lengths to illustrate that they are trying to push this to the forefront, that in itself is really promising. I'm hoping that if the first mission is anything to go by, then it means the rest of the Taken King is also going to be rich with story, and we might actually start to understand more about the characters and begin to flesh them out. Now, aside from that, the actual mission itself, you've actually seen some of these parts sort of in trailers. You basically begin sort of, on the planet. You start running towards this Cabal base because obviously the Cabal has sent out a distress signal because the Taken are arriving. You then wander your way through and you kind of sort of like get to this central chamber where there is a projection of Arekkz. At this point, he then summons some of his minions, and this is the first time you actually get to go up against the Taken. Now again, do bear in mind it's a story mission, and it's the very first story mission, so you're not necessarily going to have the difficulty of like a strike or the complexity of a raid. So for the most part, the battle itself wasn't actually too challenging, but it's a great introduction to the Taken. They come in a really cool way, you get to meet them for the very first time, and this, from the very first mission, kicks off the story in a really good way. Right from the start, you've encountered your main enemy, you've spoken to a lot of NPCs, and you're really ready to go. So again, for a really short, almost kind of prologue type mission, I was definitely really impressed. Now again, I will obviously reserve my kind of final judgment until obviously the Taken King comes out, simply because, again, if we use Vanilla as an example, the first couple of missions were quite fleshed out with cutscenes, and then after that point they started to dwindle out a little bit and they were sort of a little bit lifeless. So yes, admittedly, until I've played all the missions, that could well happen in the Taken King. But what I am going to say is, from what I've played of the first mission in the Taken King, it's a hell of a lot more exciting and a lot more involved and a lot more engaging than the first mission in Vanilla Destiny. So using that as an illustration point, I'm really hoping it's a signal or kind of a sign of what we can expect in the rest of the campaign. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. Now again, I apologise that I couldn't show you the mission itself, but as I said, there wasn't capture allowed, so hopefully my kind of sort of impressions and sort of like description of it has painted a slightly clearer picture for you, and should hopefully give you some hope for Destiny's future story. As always, comments and questions down below are super appreciated. If there's anything you guys want to know in particular, then drop that in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer it, provided I'm allowed to. And aside from that, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you keep it locked to the channel, because as I said, starting tomorrow I will be catching up on all the latest Destiny news, so if there's anything you missed or anything you're confused about, then I'll have plenty of videos coming your way. Anyway, thanks again for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.